Should the 49ers pursue Odell Beckham Jr.? No. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty Sports Talk. I'm your boy Shifty, coming at you with another video. This one goes out to Niner fans near, far, and all NFL fans, sports fans are welcome right here. Today, we're talking about if the 49ers should pursue Odell Beckham Jr. Now, short answer, no. Long answer, let's talk about it. Odell Beckham, maybe 3 years ago, was probably seen as one of the premier wide receivers in the league. Of course, we all remember him for that famous catch against the Dallas Cowboys when he did that one-handed catch. I still say that Brandon Lloyd's catch with the 49ers was better, but overall, Beckham, this first 3-4 years in the league were just insanely good. So you're thinking, well, hey, if he's one of the top receivers and the Niners, hey, and any team could always add some more talent, so why wouldn't you want to pick up Odell Beckham? Well, I'm going to throw out some of the reasons for why I really wouldn't necessarily want Odell Beckham. Seems to me, and understandably so, he wants to be maybe the number one target in a team that maybe throws the ball a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of complaints where he's been thinking he hasn't got as much touches as he feels like he deserves with the Cleveland Browns. If he comes to the 49ers, we're a team that we don't air it out. We're not consistently throwing for over 300 yards a game. Jimmy G did throw for over 300 yards, but Deebo Samuel is going to eat up a bunch of those yards, and he did against the Chicago Bears. But in general, if he comes to San Francisco, he's coming to an offense where we don't throw it a ton. And also, he's going to be target number 3. We got Deebo, we got Kittle, then OBJ would fit in if we picked him up. And then you have the likes of, do you want to stunt the growth of, a Brandon Ayuk? We have other, a lot of running backs we want to get involved in the passing game. Tight ends like Dwelly and Werner are really progressing and looking a lot better. Then we have guys like, Sanu. We have Jawan Jennings who wants to get more targets. Maybe Jalen Hurd comes back, but forget Jalen Hurd. But overall, I just don't see how he would be happy in San Francisco. Now, I could see the argument if this was 2019. Because at the time, right around this time of the season, the Niners were 8-0. Defense was rolling, running game was super good, and we had a receiver core that had a rookie Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin, Kittle was doing his thing, but in general, we were really needing that veteran presence. OBJ would have been awesome in 2019. 2021, though, I just don't think he'd necessarily be a positive influence in the locker room. Now, I don't really see any reports that have come out which have been super negative in terms of his attitude, even though it was excused from practice, and it's a team that the Browns are basically go, get out of here. So clearly behind the scenes there's a bunch going on. Maybe he's causing a stir, but I don't see too many reports from Browns players knocking OBJ, and maybe they don't want to, just because maybe they're friends or whatever. They don't want to cause any extra drama or anything like that in the media. Overall, I don't think he'd fit in. I don't think we have the type of offense that he would want to be in. We're definitely not going to claim him on waivers because then we'd owe him all that money. If he goes unclaimed, maybe they might just be hey, let's just see if it works. It's kind of randomly throwing a dart at a dartboard and hopefully you hit that bullseye. I just don't think OBJ would be happy, and then if he's not happy, then it causes drama. The 49ers are at a critical part of the season. We're 3-4, huge division game at home. I don't see it happening. Now, I can see where someone might make the case where, hey, well, you add a player of his caliber, maybe he helps you go from 3-4 to one of the top teams in the NFC. And that's a reasonable point, That would be if we really start airing it out. And possibly when you have an Odell Beckham with a Debo, with a Kittle, maybe you can do that. I just think the risks are pretty high. And then again, you're not going to have Ayuk. And I want to get into some numbers here because let's talk about Odell Beckham. I think a lot of people think of Odell Beckham from 2016 and oh, well, he's the same guy. So I was looking up some of his numbers. So this year has not been really good at all for him. He has 200, maybe 300 yards, so less than half of what Debo has. Last year he got hurt. He, in 7 games, maybe 6.5 games, had about 320 yards, which is nowhere near number 1 receiver. 2019, played all the games in the season. First season with the Browns, 1,035 yards, 4 touchdowns. 1,000-yard season. He was ranked 26th in the NFL in yards that year. I mean, I guess you'd say number 1, but not amazing. 2018. This was actually a pretty good year because he ranked 18 at the end of the season, 18th in yards, and he only played 12 games. And he had 6 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards in 12 games. So 2018, his last year with the Giants, would be the last season that you could say, hey, this is really good. We've had 2019, we've had 2020, we're halfway through, we've had 2.5 seasons. By the way, he was hurt in 2017, so he's been hurt a few times. He hasn't really had a top season in about 2.5, 3 years, so to even assume that you're going to get the same guy, I don't buy it. I think he'd be good, but he's not going to be that dynamic, maybe change the game, be that total game changer. I think we kind of have that in Debo or Kittle. I think 1 or 2 of those can get into a moment where Debo, especially this season, he gets in, he basically takes a game over. He's I'm putting the team on my back. George Kittle has shown he can do that more recently than what OBJ has. So, I think it's one of those things where I believe that there are better fits for Odell Beckham. I think he could probably go to Baltimore. They need a number 1. He could probably go to New England with Mac Jones, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick might be the guy to help resurrect his career when things aren't going great. Bill Belichick has done that multiple times. Green Bay, perhaps, if it's a cheap deal. Maybe they have Devontae Adams, Odell Beckham, Aaron Rodgers. He'd love to, I'm sure, catch balls from Aaron Rodgers. Well, Rodgers, who knows with COVID and everything and his vaccination status. But end of the day, if I want to sum this up, I could see the argument for bringing in Odell Beckham. Again, hey, cheap 1-year deal. See if he helps out and pushes us to the playoffs. I just think there's a lot of negatives. Again, stunting the growth of our younger players. He's not going to be in an offense he won't be getting 10 targets a game or anything close to that. I don't think he'd be happy. Then he's not going to be happy. Then we're going to cut him, and there's a whole bunch of turmoil, and we're already a team we're not undefeated or anything close to that. So I think overall, when you look at the risk reward factor, I just don't know if it's there. I think a lot more can go wrong than can go right. So overall, do I think they should pursue him? Probably not. But if they did and they pick him up and it's a cheap 1-year deal, I will try and be as positive about it. I will hope that he will, as a veteran, come in and try and be a positive influence and, of course, make some big plays on the field. So those are really my thoughts on Odell Beckham. Again, he was a great player, but that's really about it. That's all I have to say about it in terms of where I think he'd fit in with the 49ers, and I don't think he ultimately would. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because this is a really interesting one because I think Odell Beckham can be a little bit divisive in terms of his play on the field. Some people will still hold him in high esteem. Other people maybe he's okay. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it, and I look forward to seeing everybody at the stream on Sunday. I'll probably be kicking off the stream around 10 minutes before kickoff, so maybe 1:15, 1:20 p.m. San Francisco time. In this video, leave comments, likes, subscribe. It means the world to me. And I guess at this point, all there is to say is I will catch you guys on the flip side.